Hello and welcome to Legally Speaking with me, Tarun Nangia. We are losing one of the lions of India's judiciary, said Chief Justice of India, Justice N.V. Ramanna. He said this last week while paying tributes to Justice Rohinton Falli Nariman, who begins his third innings after his tenure as at the Supreme Court drew to a close recently. Solicitor General Tushar Mehta said that Justice Nariman was the first ever counsel that he briefed in the Supreme Court and praised Justice Nariman for his integrity and exceptional brilliance on varied subjects such as religion and constitution. Today, we will take you to the other side of Justice Nariman. Not, of course, his judgments have been discussed, and a lot of what he did in the courts and the cases he argued in his career as a lawyer have been known. But what is the other side of his life? His hobbies, what he likes to read, and so many other things about him. That we'll get to know today from people, from lawyers, from his friends who've known him for years. So let's take you to a journey into the life of Justice Rohinton Falli Nariman. Now we'll talk to Fredul Divitri, who knows Justice Nariman from long years. How long, even I'm not aware. So let's talk to him and find out. Uh, Welcome, Fredul, to our show. Since you know this is a tribute to Justice Nariman, for you he may be Rohinton because I'm told he knows you for long years. What is your earliest memory of Mr. Rohinton Nariman?
Well, the earliest memory perhaps will go back to the time when he was ordained a priest in the Agyari at Bandra, where I reside. And that was many years ago when he was probably around 9 or 10. And although I was not present at the actual ceremony where he was ordained, my wife, my family were all there. Well, she was not my wife then, we were all kids then. But it goes back to when he was a kid. And to talk to you about Rohinton in not in his capacity as a judge, but as a friend. I mean, I must tell you that we've traveled a lot together. And I recall an instance where we were approaching Binsar in Himachal, I think it is. And it was a rainy day. We were in his car, Rohinton was driving, and we noticed that a local bus had stopped on the road, and a couple got out with a kid. It was drizzling, and they obviously looked very lost because it was apparent that they had got off at a stop which was earlier than what they had anticipated or where they wanted to get off. There was no mode of transport in sight. So suddenly we heard this sort of stentorian voice telling us, now get out of the car. So Sanaya, we all got out in the rain. And then Rohinton offered that couple a lift to wherever they were going. And I thought that was a very good gesture on his part because he noticed that they were very lost. They had a little kid. It was raining. There was no other mode of transport. So I mean, it's an incident that has stayed in memory. And talking of memory, of course, you are aware that Rohinton has a phenomenal memory. There's a well-known incident where he and Sanaya were at Westminster Abbey in London, and outside Westminster Abbey there's a board which sets out the entire list of the names of all the monarchs of England from time immemorial. And Rohinton said, let me test my memory. So he turned his back to the board and said, I'm going to recite all the names in chronological order. Sanaya, you just check that I'm right. And after the third or fourth or fifth or whatever name, Sanaya said, sorry, you made a mistake. You omitted one name. So Rohinton looked very puzzled. He said, no, I'm sure I haven't made a mistake. I know I'm right because he turned around and he saw that they had included the name of Adele, who was an heir of William the Conqueror, as a monarch, when in fact she was not really a monarch. So he wrote to Westminster and he said that, look, I've seen this list and I believe you made a mistake in that. Now, Westminster, as you know, is the heart of British government. What do you think Westminster did? I mean, do you think that they responded and said, look, don't tell us our job. I mean, we know what we are doing. No, they wrote back to say, thank you very much, Mr. Nariman. You've corrected us. We made a mistake. And you've pointed out that mistake to us. So again, I mean, that's the kind of person he is. And apart from sort of his varied interests, he's somebody, this is a little known fact, he's somebody who's very good as a handyman at home. You know, I mean, you have any electrical problem, you have any plumbing problem, Rohinton will attend to it in a jiff. You assign it to somebody and you think that that guy is not doing his job well, the right person to check with is Rohinton, because he knows exactly what is happening. And he's a phenomenal mimic. I mean, he can mimic Ormasji Sirvai, who had a unique voice. He can mimic Soli Sorabji or Justice Tulzapurkar or anybody. And I think that has something to do with the with his love for sound. Right? Rohinton and sound somehow go together. I mean, everyone knows his love of music and particularly Western classical music. But a very little known aspect or facet is the fact that he knows the words of all the songs of the 70s and 80s, all the pop songs, you name it. The
Remember
Beatles,
them.
yeah, the Beatles, the Hermits, Elvis, the Carpenters. I mean, people like me who love pop music, after the time you sing the first two lines and then you start humming them. Rohinton will know all the words. I mean, he doesn't sing it except in the company of very close friends. But I mean, I find that a very unique kind of thing, because he must have learned of it at that point in time, and that has stayed in his memory, which is a phenomenal memory. He, of course, has a phenomenal collection of books, a library in every home. And
Every home?
I beg your pardon?
In every home, he has a library.
In every home. And he has a collection of Western classical music that is probably.
In fact, I recently read a book by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. He said a man is known by the size of his library.
Yes, and I'm sorry, it's not just a library. Many of us have books, many of us intend to read them. I know for a fact that he has read, if not every one of them, at least about 95% of them. I mean, it's just a matter.
Voracious reader.
I beg your pardon?
Voracious reader.
Voracious. And unlike say people like me who have a sieve for a memory, I mean, Rohinton remembers everything that he reads. So it's phenomenal, sort of being on a walk with him, and one learns so much. Not. I mean, it's not that he's teaching you, but it's just a conversational thing which is fascinating to hear when you're on a walk. And he's of course a very devoted walker, because it's the one thing that he never tires of. I mean, it's the one thing that
He never
it's like a meal. I mean, you don't walk, you have your meal every day, you have a walk every day. Of course, he would have loved to have become a conductor of Western classical of an orchestra, which was probably because he has so much of music in his head. But I mean, life has panned out in a way where India has benefited from the fact that he was such an outstanding counsel and then became.
And indeed, so many people look up to him. So many people are inspired by him. So many people want to listen to what he speaks. His speeches are very famous. People go back to it again and again. And of course, you shared with us his memory. The kind of the anecdote about Westminster. Thank you so much for sharing all of this. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Now we'll talk to Mr. Karanjawala, who also knows Justice Nariman for a long time. We heard they know each other for decades. So why not ask him about the early days? I thought, Mr. Karanjawala, I would want to ask you about when did you first meet Rohinton Nariman? I mean, it's so many years, so must have been when he was very young as a kid or as a teenager.
No, I first met him in college when he joined Shriram College in the year 1973. My friend Arun Jaitley introduced me to him. Arun had somewhere bumped into Rohinton earlier. Arun introduced me, and as fellow Parsis, we sort of met and clicked. So that's where I first met him.
Okay. Achha, what was your first impression? I mean, there are memories about friends. Each person has some quality that you remember about him. It could be hobbies, it could be sports, movies. There are so many things about each person. What was it about him that you remember?
So there was one memory that is distinct in my mind. You see, Rohinton in those days was a portly chap. Fit but sort of squat. And we'd become friends. And one day he said, "Come over home for lunch, Ryan." And I went over to his house. Fali used to live in those days. His father, Fali Nariman, was the additional Solicitor General. He used to live in what is called 7 Safdarjung Lane in those days. So it was a big house, government houses are and all. When I went over, Rohinton said, Ryan, you want to play cricket? So I said, sure. Now, I was not much of a player, but I said, chalo, we'll tap along. So he came, brought a bat, ball, and I could hear Fali somewhere in the background. He said, what are you doing, Baba? I said, I'm going to play cricket. Don't injure Ryan, huh, Baba. Fali had a nasal sort of tone. So don't injure Ryan, huh, Baba. Don't injure Ryan. So I said to myself, what does he talk? He's injuring me. So Rohinton came to bowl. First ball went, soup. Just looked at it, Then again, second ball, again, just sped past. Like, the West Indian bowlers in those days must have gone. I just put the bat down and said, no, we'll stop playing. So that was my first recollection of him when I got to know him.
So that's all. Going forward, any fond memory from those days that you would like to share, or any quality of him because he's many qualities, of course, we know some of those which are talked about, his memory being one of those, his public speaking ability in the sense that his ability to rattle off numbers and incidents from 1,000 years ago without faulting on the chronology or anything. I mean, he just rattles off facts and figures, which amazes the audience.
So I'll share two aspects about his memory, which perhaps people are not so fond of. I mean, so known, which is perhaps not so well known. First, Rohinton's is a trained memory. What do I mean when I say trained? See, Rohinton is a Nawar. A Nawar in our community is a priest. And to become a priest, you have to have two qualifications. One is either your father or your grandfather should have been a priest. So while Fali wasn't, Rohinton's grandfather was. So Rohinton was qualified to take the exam of a Nawar. Second, to become a Nawar, you have to take an exam, which means that you have to spend weeks and weeks in our Agyaris, that is our fire temples. Rohinton went as a little boy, stayed there. And they make you learn by rote large volume of prayers, which are in a language you don't understand. So it's really a test and skill and a training for memory. And many of the Nawars have had exceptional memories. For example, in the legal profession, Jamshedji Kanga, the famous Jamshedji Kanga, was a Nawar. H.M. Sirvai, with his prodigious memory of constitutional law, was a Nawar, and Rohinton is a Nawar. So this is something that, stands out about his memory. He has an exceptional memory. The second thing about Rohinton is that his real memory, of course, he knows the case law and he knows literature and all the rest of it, but his real memory is in music. Rohinton has in his head memorized at least 4,000 to 6,000 hours of music. And he often says that, look, I mean, he can come in while a particular orchestra is playing a particular whatever and take on from wherever that was and finish the whole rest of it in his mind with going to the relevant instrument at the relevant time. And he's often said to me that my real calling in life was not law. I should have been a music conductor. I should have gone abroad, studied music, and today, yes, and today, I have no doubt that had he done so, he would have been touring Europe in some part of Europe or the other at this point of time, conducting a particular orchestra of a world famous renown. Okay. So that's what is different about what people perhaps don't know about his memory.
Thanks for sharing these anecdotes with us. Provide a very different insight into what a young Rohinton Nariman and then Justice Nariman was. Thank you. So now we have Senior Advocate Darius Kambata joining us. But more than that, he is actually somebody who knows Justice Nariman since his earlier days, since when he was very young. Their association goes back decades. So I thought, why not ask him about him as a person? Mr. Kambata, what would you talk or what would you like to express about Rohinton Nariman as a person? How is he?
Tarun, it's actually in a sense difficult to talk about Rohinton in a few minutes. He obviously he has an amazing makes an amazing impression upon anybody who comes into contact with him. And as you said, I've known him. I can't remember when I first met him because our parents were dearest friends. My father was at the bar in those days, and even before he joined the bar, he and Fali uncle were great friends, and I think they were their dearest friends. So I've known him from my recallable childhood. So even as a child, he would impress. He would use words and language that other normal children wouldn't use. He was full of knowledge. He had a great thirst for knowledge. And I think it's that passion that ultimately made him into what now is popularly known as a polymath. So, someone who acquires knowledge in several fields. And it's mind-boggling as to the areas in which he is sought to and has acquired deep knowledge. Law, obviously, but not only law. It would do him an unfairness to think of him only as a great judge or a great lawyer, because he has knowledge in history, in literature, religion. He suddenly got almost a childlike passion for an electric toy train set. So you had this huge thing laid out in his house, and he used to, with great enthusiasm, work it and show it off to us. He collects coins. He even had a bit of an interest in palmistry once. So, amazing. But I think, for me at least, and maybe this is my personalized view, his real passion, if you had to name one, and it's difficult to name one, is music. And not much has been spoken about that in the recent days, because probably many people don't associate themselves with Western classical music. But his love for music has existed from his earliest days. One of my earliest memories of him, when I was really a kid, I must have been 7, 8 years old, and he's about 5 so years older than I am. So as a boy of 12 or 13, maybe younger, I'm not sure, he used to come to my house and listen to music, because my father was passionately fond of Western classical music. And in those days, of course, even music was not easy to get. So I remember HMV India used to come out with one, and if you were lucky, 2 Western classical music records a year. And your only other source was music libraries, or if someone went abroad and brought back something. And over time, my father had built up a large collection. So Rohinton used to come over and listen to music. And I used to sit in on that. And you could see his passion even then. My father was very, very fond of him. To his last days, he was deeply fond of Rohinton. So even when he was very ill and in basically bedridden, you'd mention the name Rohinton and his face would light up. They shared a bond in music, I think. So today, music, for example, Rohinton used to, and even now does, collect LPs, so which have gone out of fashion. Today, even CDs are out of fashion, but if someone had a huge LP collection, he'd go and he'd happily take it over, and he's got piles of these LPs at home, and he listens to them. It's not that they're just sitting there as collector's items. His knowledge of music is a very deep knowledge. And he once mentioned to me that his actual dream in life was to have been a conductor, much more than being a lawyer or a judge. So whatever he does with a passion. Even when he was a child, he was a natural leader. He was like a ringleader, and we would all follow him and things like that. And I've had contact with him in at different phases of his life, and not continuous contacts. Particularly after he moved to Delhi, my contact has been sporadic, but it has been regular. So in the 70s, there was a lot of contact because of music and because of going on holidays to either Khandala or to Mahabaleshwar. He loves Mahabaleshwar, as you may know, with a passion. And he told me another thing once, and I think that is so interesting. He once told me that he loves to speak to older people and to really engage with them on a one-to-one and talk to them about the old days. And I could see it in action. And a list of people I could name who much older than him, father's age or even above his father's age, who he struck up a very deep and warm relationship with. He had a tremendous relationship, I believe, with his grandfather, his maternal grandfather. And so he is unique in that sense. He's constantly wants to acquire knowledge about the past, knowledge about the present. And that is really what I think, puts him apart. Because he's acquired this knowledge, he's also a great teacher. And, again, he goes right back to the past. He is probably one of the last few practitioners of the oral tradition. I'm now going back to antiquity. You go back to the Ramayana, Mahabharata, Iliad, Odyssey. These were all oral tradition works. They passed from generation to generation just because people spoke them and the next generation memorized them and so on. And they were not written down in those days. They got written down much later. He is actually a practitioner of that. So if you walk with him, say in Mahabaleshwar, which we do annually, and you're just in the middle of nowhere and you're talking about all sorts of things. And it's amazing the gems that he can come up with, and they stick in your mind much more than if you read them in a book. So I think one of the things he should be doing now is teaching, and not only law. He's really also a master of religions. I don't know much about religion, so I can't judge him except to see that his works are very impressive and they seem to make a lot of sense and they're very well researched. But if I apply the same standards to his knowledge of music and his knowledge of history, then it must be an amazing knowledge, because I can test him on music and history, and I can tell you it's amongst probably the best knowledge that I've come across in my lifetime. So, he's a very precious commodity, and as I described him as a national treasure, but I do mean that. I think our country has to use him in some capacity, So there's so much I can say about him. He's had a great influence on my life. You want me to go on, or shall I stop?
No, but what you shared a lot, and I would like to thank you for sharing these interesting insights to his personality. But indeed, a 30-second comment would be valuable, that they don't make people like him. People of his character, his kind of knowledge, his kind of insight into things. You must come across very few people like him in your life. Very few people of his caliber.
Very few, and I think it tells you something about modernity itself. He's really a man who would have been in his element in the Renaissance, even in the 19th century, when people did more than just their profession. Today, things have become so specialized that people are just doing the profession they practice. Even within the profession, they just do specific types of legal work. And I think a lot of value actually is lost in that. We've become over-specialized. And I think it adds value to human being. It adds value to society to have more people who are interested in more things. You don't have to be interested at his level. Obviously, he's gifted with a prodigious memory. That's a huge asset he has. But merely because you're not gifted with a great memory like his doesn't mean that you shouldn't interest or engage yourself with various fields and walks of the arts and humanities. It's so important. And I've always felt that an engagement or a passion for the arts and humanities definitely helps you in your profession. It certainly, for me, music, history has helped me immeasurably in my profession. So he should be an example to a lot of our young lawyers and other citizens as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing this valuable insight into the inner world of Justice Nariman. I'm sure everybody watching this would have loved to know the very interesting insights into his personality that you shared with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.